Welcome back. The federal shutdown shows no signs of ending anytime soon. Speaker Johnson today said he could see it being the longest one in American history. Republicans are blaming Democrats. Democrats are blaming Republicans. But a new round of layoffs are bringing new criticism of the White House. Let's bring on my guest tonight, Virginia Congressman James Walkinshaw, who represents the 11th District, up late with me tonight here on the Final Five. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jim.
You put out a letter today calling for an investigation into these layoffs that started to come out en masse on Friday night, which Republicans said, the White House said this was going to be part of the pain that the American people would feel as way of this shutdown and these layoffs.
Well, first, I think it's obviously an outrageous thing for the administration to inflict pain on the American people because of this Trump shutdown. The letter that I put out and statements that I've made about the RIFs that went out on Friday just highlighted the fact that the law is very clear. The Anti-Deficiency Act lays out what the administration can and cannot do during a shutdown. And one of the things they cannot do is implement and execute this kind of large-scale layoff that they have done with the RIFs that were announced on Friday. So it's flatly illegal. Lawsuits have been filed. There are hearings coming up this week, and I expect that the courts will read the clear letter of the law and roll back the RIFs that have been announced.
Something that you and I have spoken about when you ran for this seat was the impact of the DOGE cuts on the 11th District, on Northern Virginia, something that the Trump administration said was in the name of efficiency, was in the name of creating a leaner government along the way. But when these layoffs happen, I think we have to be realistic here. I realize it's in vogue to want to cut government for a lot of people, but there's also a lot of actual everyday Americans and many of your constituents involved here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, some of the RIFs that were announced, and I know they've been rolling some of it back already, but they laid off folks who are engaged in opioid abuse and addiction prevention work across the country. And, that's necessary work in every community, including here in Northern Virginia. It is especially necessary work in rural communities across the country that have been hit hardest by the opioid epidemic. So the Trump administration is punishing folks who live in those communities and are dealing with this tragic opioid epidemic. That's the kind of thing we're seeing from them.
One of the things you accused the president and Russ Vought of OMB in this letter is trying to dismantle civil service. And that is, to be fair, something that was laid out in Project 2025. President Trump put out a video about 2 weeks ago. It was a cartoon saying Russ Vought is the Reaper. But they see this as part of the mission. I mean, do you see this as their way of trying to pin the blame further on Democrats, or are they just acting what they believe is their purview?
Well, look, first, they would be doing what they're doing today with or without the shutdown, right? They've been doing it for 9 months. They're going to continue it as long as they can throughout Trump's term unless they're stopped. And it is part, as you note, of a concerted effort to destroy the 100-plus year legacy of a nonpartisan, non-political civil service in this country. Our civil servants serve the American people. They follow the Constitution, and the Trump administration wants to replace them with loyalists, with folks who will say yes, sir, to every whim that crosses Donald Trump's mind. And whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, I think we all can recognize that's not a good thing for the United States of America.
Okay, so if the layoffs here and if what you're talking about are illegal, if they're dangerous along the way, and healthcare has been the main sticking point here, with the Democrats saying you want to extend a lot of these tax credits for healthcare, isn't there a way to come back and say, okay, we'll reopen the government and reopen this discussion to get these health tax care credits extended in some other way?
I think there is a path to do that. Absolutely. I mean, look, where we stand today, there's a Republican spending plan that has failed to get 60 votes in the Senate. There is a Democratic budget that, as you note, includes the cancellation of those devastating cuts to health care and some other provisions, including provisions to protect federal employees. That Democratic budget hasn't been able to get 60 votes in the Senate. So we have two budgets that have failed to get 60 votes. The logical thing to do is for both sides to sit down and try to negotiate a compromise and meet halfway between the two budgets. The Republicans have been unwilling to do that. I'll be at the Capitol tomorrow, as I was every day last week. My Republican colleagues will not be there. Speaker Johnson has announced the 4th week of vacation for House Republicans. There's no way we can negotiate a deal if they're not even here willing to work.
The last time I believe you cast a vote, along with everybody else, was back on the 19th of September. So, by the way, just before I go, as we talk about this and just seeing some other reaction from other members of Congress, and you've only been in the House for just a little over a month now, did you ever find yourself thinking that you would be on the same side of an issue as the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has been talking about wanting to see these tax credits extended as well?
I give her a lot of credit for, speaking honestly about what I think a lot of her Republican colleagues are feeling as well. I mean, look, Republicans in their districts, I know, are hearing the same thing that I'm hearing from my constituents. And I met with folks at a small business in Reston last week who shared with me the devastating impacts that will occur if we don't address this healthcare crisis, extend the tax credits, address the Medicaid cuts. She's hearing the same thing. Yeah. So are other Republicans. She just kind of has the courage to be willing to speak it.
Congressman James Walkinshaw of Virginia, we appreciate you joining us and talking about this. Hopefully we won't have any more conversations about this, but time will tell.
I hope you're right, Jim. Thank you.
And the Final Five is back after this.